comes as early as round 3. The likes of, and you can order them however you want to order these for, Lamar Jackson, Jayden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. If you have the order entirely reversed, I do not care. All 4 of these guys have a real chance to rush for 1,000 yards in a season. Some of them could easily throw for 4,000 yards in a season. I think they're worth paying the freight on. Joe Burrow is in that next man up category, but those 4 guys at the very top should easily average close to 20-plus points per game this season. All 4 play on teams that we believe are right there in the mix to be Super Bowl contenders. Lots of points being scored this season for those first 4 quarterbacks. And Burrow, with that defense and his accuracy and those receivers, wouldn't surprise me if he leads the NFL in both passing yards and passing touchdowns again this season.
Yeah, that's what he did a year ago. And just super quickly, that you saw the question flash across the screen briefly. Now that Terry McLaurin is back in the fold, it feels like the vibe sort of went this way in Washington. Is that a legit Super Bowl contender this year?
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is, because it's not just about Terry McLaurin, although we've talked about that a lot on the show. It's about the additions they made on the offensive line. It's about the defense getting better. And really, quite honestly, it's about Jayden Daniels here in year 2, acting and sounding and playing like a guy who's been playing in this league for 5 years.
Yeah, the pressure's going to be on him to lift this team, because I think the only reason anyone's considering them a legitimate Super Bowl contender is that Jayden Daniels can play MVP level football.
All right,
What must get better is their run defense. 30th last year, 5 of the 7 teams that made the playoffs in the NFC were top 6 in rushing.
All right, Field Yates with your fantasy insight. He'll be back in hour number 2 for much more as we continue this morning as we roll or sometime over the course of this Labor Day weekend. So we want to get you ready for it with Field Yates. And look, I'm just going to say this because it's so distracting that let's just get it out of the way before we get started. That picture of Field. So what this looks like is the one on the left side of your screen is a young child, and on the right, it's that child trick-or-treating as Mel Kiper.
Thank you, Grady. Yeah.
Is that right?
That is. I mean, we are, 2 months away from Halloween? There's some talk that perhaps I'm just going to keep this growing until Halloween. But the Yates family is in negotiations right now over what the next steps are with the hair. To be clear, those negotiations involve my wife saying, you're either getting a haircut or you're not.
Okay, I love it. I mean, we talked about this on First Draft last year. I absolutely love the lettuce, so we'll see where it winds up. Okay, all in good fun. Field, let's have some fun here. We'll get the guys in on their takes. What is the number one thing a fantasy owner needs to be thinking about going into the draft?
Who are you taking number 1 overall? Is it Bijan Robinson or is it Jamar Chase? Chase, of course, the Triple Crown winner last year in the NFL. Robinson plays the position that's probably hard to find elite players at. He's an ascending player as well going into his 3rd season. He had 20 or more fantasy points in 10 of his last 12 games. So I get it, Jamar Chase is a remarkable player, but Bijan Robinson certainly merits number 1 overall pick consideration. That Falcons offense should once again run through him this season.
Everyone I've had on this week has said Bijan at number 1. And so, Harry, I'll give you your chance right now to crow about your Falcons. Is that offense finally, all of these dynamic skill players, are they going to be unlocked to the level that this team can make a playoff run?
I believe so. They have an opportunity to be a top 3 offense in the league. And I do agree with Phil. Everything should run through Bijan Robinson, because he is the hardest player in the National Football League, I believe, to even tackle, whether it's out in space or you're talking about in the foxhole, to be able to be elusive and get away from tacklers. He does a great job with his vision. But, Greeny, here's another exceptional thing about Bijan Robinson. 61 receptions last year out of the backfield. He's a vital weapon to Michael Penix Jr. The thing I'm worried about the most for the Falcons, they just lost their right tackle, Caleb McGarry. And the reason why that's significant, Michael Penix Jr. is a left-handed quarterback, so that's his blind side. So hopefully they can shore up that position, but nothing's going to be like Caleb McGarry.
I feel like we've been waiting a while for Atlanta to kind of put it together. They have so many names that could this be the year?
I think it certainly could be the year, but from a fantasy standpoint, I think that the drawback is they have a lot of really good skill players. So there's a lot of mouths to feed in Atlanta, but I still, I agree with what David Carr said at the beginning of this, is that we need to get that Bijan Robinson is the guy that you want to take near the top of your draft.
David
To
Carr.
be clear, he thinks Field looks like David.
You know, for a minute I'm going, does he have the segment mixed up?
No.
David Carr. But no, I agree with you.
And to go back to the beginning of the show, the one thing the Falcons haven't been able to do is rush the passer at all, and you think that's going to change this year?
Yeah, look, I think James Pierce Jr. could wind up leading the National Football League in sacks. He's that freakish. I said he was Javon Curse light. It sounds like during training camp he has flashed some of that. If they solve that and they can wind up not taking too much of a hit with the loss of Caleb McGarry, look, this football team's loaded. Look, Raheem's got what he needs. He's got what he needs now to make a run in the South. and it's there for the taking. Although my other bold prediction of Baker Mayfield winning an MVP may have something to say about that.
Yeah.
But James Pierce Jr. and yes, I would take Bijan Robinson number 1 overall.
Let me get 2 more in for Field here. Field, so that's the first decision. If you have the number 1 pick, you go Bijan over Jamar Chase. What's the next big pressure point decision a fantasy owner has to make?
Yeah, Greeny, it's probably going to come around pick 6. There are 5 players we kind of view in that tier 1 of top prospects. But Christian McCaffrey versus Ashton Genty is likely to be the 4th running back off the board and likely to be the 6th player off the board. Who are you taking? Are you taking the guy who is tried and true in Christian McCaffrey, but getting to a point age-wise where running backs do often experience a little bit of a regression, plus coming off of a year in which he was very injured? That being said, Ashton Genty is a remarkable prospect. We know what kind of career he had at Boise State. Is the offense going to be as good in Las Vegas as we think it can be in San Francisco? And is Ashton Genty going to have the kind of success that we have seen from other recent rookies, which includes not just receivers, but quarterbacks and, of course, running backs as well? Saquon Barkley, on a bad Giants team, was the number 1 scorer in running back as a rookie. So plenty of upside here with Ashton Genty. There are just some people who need to see it to believe it, which we have seen for many, many years from Christian McCaffrey.
So you're going McCaffrey. You would go
I'm leaning McCaffrey. Yeah, you know what? There's so many injuries right now in San Francisco. He might have 80 catches this year and rush for 1,200 yards.
You know, I continue to say this. If you watch the show regularly, perhaps it sounds like a broken record. ESPN Bet Sportsbook has the 49ers as the 3rd best team in the NFC. It's Philly, Detroit, and then the 49ers. This continues to blow my mind. I know their schedule is quote-unquote easy, but everybody there is hurt. I don't understand it. Do you like the Niners the way they like the Niners?
I don't know if I like them as much as they like them, but I think there's a mass of teams, and the difference between the 49ers and all those other teams that are in the mass that we think are all contenders is they have a quarterback that we know is healthy and we can trust. I think some of the other teams that are super talented, with the exception of, I guess, the Packers, don't really have quarterbacks that we both know can play and are 100% healthy right now.
Yeah, but you know what? Availability is the big thing with San Francisco, and that's the one thing I don't know if. Look, I don't know if whoever is coming up with that line for ESPN Ben is factoring in right now. This team is beat up. This team has a bunch of young guys on its defensive line that they got to get going. Look, I know they brought Robert Saleh back. He has a huge job in front of him to make sure this defense plays up to the level that people are expecting them to.
Quick take. Who wins that division? Do they even win that division, or do the Rams win that?
No,
division?
I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams. Everyone talk about the schedule of the San Francisco 49ers, but the Rams only play 5 games versus teams that made the playoffs last year as well. San Francisco, they only play 4. I like Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Seahawks, really good. Seahawks going to be really good.
I mean, look, a lot of things can happen. I continue to be a little taken aback by the way they like the 49ers. Field, let me get one more quickly for you. How about when it comes to quarterbacks? What's the big question fantasy decision makers have to make?
Yeah, are you paying up early for one of those elite 5 quarterbacks? My answer is yes. And by the way, that to me